This is Joynews Prime. Now, in less than 12 hours, the NPP goes to the polls in 100 constituencies to elect parliamentary candidates for the 2020 elections. The contest is said to be a real cliffhanger in neck-and-neck in 20 hotspots across the 16 regions of the country. We'll touch base with our regional correspondents. Also, 4 new deaths and 274 more cases takes Ghana's total COVID-19 case count to 13,203 with 70 deaths. We'll bring you details. In spite of the new law that makes it mandatory for citizens in Ghana to wear the face mask, many are defiant as they walk in public places freely.
Do you understand? Because governments have provided a lot of things to other institutions, schools and those stuff. What about those we that are on the streets? Latent Business National Board for Small-Scale Industries extend application deadline for businesses interested in COVID-19 alleviation program. And also here on Joynews, prime hawkers on the Adome Bridge in the Eastern Region who jostle daily to eke out a living complain of low patronage. They say many commuters fear to buy from them because of the coronavirus.
Difficult part is since morning you come to markets because of this business, this coronavirus. If you run to a car, go away. We've heard that the coronavirus is here.
My name is Ernest Minu. You're live from our studios here at Kupum Lane, Accra on digital address GA09925539. Also on your digital television because we are free to air. This bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144. Please stay with us for details. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. Now, in less than 12 hours, the NPP goes to the polls in 100 constituencies to elect parliamentary candidates for the 2020 elections. The contest is said to be a real cliffhanger in neck-and-neck in 20 hotspots across the 16 regions of the country. Let's start from the Eastern Region. The Eastern Regional Police Commander, DCOP Afo Boachi Yadom, has hinted the deployment of enough men to protect lives and property at all polling centers in flash constituencies. DCOP Afo Boachi Yadom said there will be additional patrol teams in Koforidua to serve as reinforcement and backup security. Meanwhile, Eastern Regional Organizer of the NPP, Mr. Kwame Appiah-Kodua, has warned the party and its members and aspirants to desist from acts of lawlessness and violence. Maxo Kudeko reports.
Eastern Regional Police Commander DCOP Afo Boachi Yadom has hinted that the command have deployed enough men to protect lives and property at all the polling centers in these flash constituencies. DCOP Afo Boachi Yadom said there will be additional patrol teams in Koforidua to serve as reinforcement and backup security. Meanwhile, Eastern Regional Organizer of the NPP, Mr. Kwame Appiah-Kodua, has warned the party members and aspirants to desist from acts of lawlessness and violence. He said the police has been mandated to handle all security matters concerning the elections. According to him, the party wouldn't shield anyone who indulges in act that is alien to the NPP.
Area of security. We spoke with the regional command of the Ghana Police Service to send operational instructions to all divisions and districts commanders to ensure that a reasonable number of security personnel will be deployed to the polling centers, that's the electoral area centers, where the voting is going to take place. Beyond that, we have already spoken to our party rank and file that ours is internal competition. Ours is a democratic party. And for that matter, this is not the first time that we are going to hold elections to elect our candidates. We have done that severally, we have done that in the past. And that people or party rank and file should be able to comport themselves. And for that matter, the party will not countenance with any behavior that is inconsistent to our tradition. Such people will be disowned. Such people will be given out to the law enforcers to deal with them.
According to Kwame Appiah-Kodua, wearing of nose masks is a mandatory requirement at the polling stations, so all delegates must endeavor to wear nose masks before approaching the polling centers. He added that the party has also provided enough Veronica buckets, soaps, tissues and sanitizers to the constituencies.
Eastern region, we have 243 electoral areas where the elections are going to be held. And we have done that in response to the COVID-19 protocols. So we are going to hold the elections in the electoral areas, and that in response to the COVID-19 protocols, we have deployed a number of safety materials to all the constituencies for onward distributions to the voting centers. Veronica buckets, hand sanitizers, liquid soaps, hand washing soap or liquid soaps, tissue papers, face masks or nose masks. So the meaning is that any delegate who comes to a polling station to vote should come with a nose mask.
Masua Kudekos report for Joynews.
From the Eastern region, let's go to the Ashanti region. Bantama constituency, made up of about 10 electoral areas with a population of over 50,000, sits in the heart of Kumasi, once known as Ghana's Florida, due to its huge voter population of over 100,000. It combines traditional relevance and election euphoria to draw attention each election season. Now, after the NDC occupied the seat once, following the NPP's boycott in 1992, the NPP in the parliamentary polls in 1996 won with over 100,000 votes. Nana Sensu Mensah has been interacting with both aspirants and came through with this report.
The Bantama constituency primaries is contested by only two aspirants, the incumbent Daniel Chamabuaje versus the Deputy Chief of Staff at the Presidency, Francis Asenso-Boakye. The incumbent NPP has dominated the constituency since 1996 after Ofosu Owusu-Jibril of the New Democratic Congress won the seat when the NPP boycotted elections in 1992. Since then, Dr. Richard Womfred Anane won the seat in 1996 and 2000 until the Nshiasu constituency was carved out of Bantama. Then comes Cecilia Abnadapa in 2004 and 2008. In 2012, Kwabena Kokofu represented the Bantama in Parliament but lost the 2015 primaries to Daniel Ochem Abuaje.
Obia so babiano tumino so maltumo so yadio yani di kama ma punya ku fa do ma ano ma bi hello how far you feel now the number fear
Daniel Ochem Abuaje is the incumbent member of parliament and is seeking to be re-elected to represent the Florida of Ghana politics in the 2020 elections.
President Akufo-Addo, who was even once told that he could not become president, by our victory, our hard work, our investment of time, human resources and money, and mobilization of the people, we won 89%, and today he's the president. And logic, the president is asking for 4 more years because one good term deserves another, he says. So what about me who have to bring him to power? What about me? So if president is asking for 4 more years, I am humbly also asking for 4 more years. Is it just rational and logical for anybody to believe that, yes, we brought him to power, we want to go again with him? And by the way, Bantama, we don't have anything to lose. We have about 3 or 4 people in government, 1 in the legislature, parliament, 1 in the government, and a few here and there. Why should we put all the eggs in one basket?
This thing that we have a lot of people in government, so I should stay where I am, and he also stay where he is. It's dead on arrival. Because in that case, then we mean that anybody that the president appoints from parliament to be minister or deputy minister means that that person must relinquish his MP position for somebody else to come and take. the additional responsibility that one has beyond the MP position, say a deputy minister, is even a motivation to help serve your people, bring development to your constituency. So that argument, I believe, is dead on arrival.
Question is, will delegates sympathize with Ochem to go to Parliament for the second time, though he didn't allow his predecessor, Kokofu, to run for the second term?
When he was contesting in the parliamentary primary 4 years ago, he made it clear that if he is unable to honor his promises, he should be kicked out. He came to a sitting MP who had been in Parliament for just 1 year. In fact, when he decided to contest, the then MP, the MP had been in Parliament for just 1 year, okay? And he did whatever he could. You know, he had a lot of money at the time. He told people that he was going to take 40 people to the US every year. He was going to buy 1 grader for each electoral area. He said a lot of things, and he has not been able to deliver on any of these promises. And the reason why we are in a contest is because you contest, you win, and you account for your stewardship. And if you fail, then somebody else must come and replace you.
Confident Ashanti Region, the Deputy Chief of Staff, who is known to be the darling boy of President Akufo-Addo, hopes to win more than half of the over 547 delegates in the constituency to proceed to Parliament.
My nomination alone is enough to bring all the residents of Bantama on board. Today in Bantama, the name of Ashanti Region is what everybody is calling for. And given my political experience, from the day that I will be nominated, I will know whatever it is to do to bring everybody on board. So in 2020 elections, I'm hopeful and I'm confident that we will do much better than we did in the previous election.
Nana Ashanti Mensah reporting.
And we'll stay in the Ashanti region. One regular feature with such seasons is defection, and it's not different in this election season as well. NPP parliamentary aspirant and sole candidate in the party's primaries for Fomena, Philip Ofori-Asante, is predicting defeat for the incumbent MP who wants to seek re-election as an independent candidate. Now, he wants Andrew Amoako-Esiama to rescind his decision and join forces with the party to secure victory in the presidential and parliamentary elections come December. Now, Mr. Ofori says the December race is between the NPP and the NDC, for which reason he expects the sitting MP to join him to retain the seats for the party. That sole candidate was cleared to contest unopposed in the primaries after the incumbent legislator withdrew from the race over delegate register controversy. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin has the rest of the story.
For the first time in history of Fomena constituency, we've had a situation where somebody comes from outside, contests the incumbent, and goes unopposed. It tells you something unexpected has happened. And I tell you, what we perceive to be the situation at Fomena, where we change our MPs likely on 4-year terms, is going to cease. Things that have not happened before are going to happen in this community.
Mr. Ofori-Asante says the December election is between NPP and NDC, for which he expects the sitting member of parliament to join him to retain the seat for the governing party.
The next agenda is to bring everybody on board. The starting point is to bring all former MPs on board. The next thing is to bring all former constituency executives on board. The third thing is to bring all polling station executives, past polling station executives on board. We all come together in unison, we think together, craft a strategy to go into the elections, and we promise. Agenda 1990 is on course, it is going to happen. My incumbent MP graciously conceded and and said, I'm not contesting you. I take it that it was an honor he did me. He did me an honor by conceding he's not contesting.
The astute banker was cleared to contest unopposed in the party primaries after the incumbent legislator withdrew from the race over delegate register controversy. He says he would personally invite Mr. Amwako to discuss the independent bid.
The issue about independence as has been, as people are banding about, I don't think my own brother Esama will actually do that. He won't do that. But let me tell you, when there is a contest, intra-party contest as we do have, one of us is surely going to win. Somebody has won, and I believe that he will come and join the fray. I'm going to talk to him, I'm going to invite him to come and join, and let's work together to pursue Agenda 2090.
So what if he declines to change his mind?
Asiama, if he decides, in the unlikely event of he deciding not to heed to the advice, he won't get more than 2,000 votes. Be assured.
Are you assuring?
I'm telling you, no, go to the ground. I keep telling why people were talking about he contest being popular and all that. It's because we have not gone on the ground to campaign. The party doesn't have a candidate. Now the party has a candidate. We're going to go out there, we're going to campaign aggressively, and I tell you, he'll come on board. Trust me, he'll come on board. He'll step down. Trust me, he will.
A report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
And of course, this is your election headquarters. We've got everything covered for you right now. Let me take you to the Upper East region. Albert Sorry is a man on the ground leading the coverage for us tomorrow. Albert, I know there's one keen contest that we're all looking forward to and watching closely, and that is the contest between the Aviation Minister, Joseph Kofi Adda, and the Regional Minister, Tangoba Abayage. I know she insisted on a decent and peaceful campaign, but what can you report with a few hours to the polls?
Yes, Ernest. So just a few hours to the polls, a lot of people are very anxious to see what happens tomorrow. Remember that Tangoba Abayage herself is someone who believes that as somebody who is 100% a Kasna person, that is somebody who is an indigene of Navrongo. She has worked, with the people for a long time, and for that reason, she is going to come out victorious. Now, she has also been a minister of, a regional minister for some time, and coming into office, she's made herself somebody who believes in the youth. Sometimes she takes time herself to visit people at their various business places, and then try to talk to them, get to know what happens. Sometimes it takes even as much as just a Facebook tag for her to respond to people. So a lot of people think that she can spring up a surprise tomorrow. But let's not also forget that Kofi Adda is a long-standing member of parliament as far back as since 2003 by a by-election. He lost the seat in 2012 and came back to reclaim it in 2016. And so because of that experience, a lot of people think that his experience is going to be to his advantage. One thing that I can report, though, is that just yesterday, I was talking to Tangoba Abayage on the phone. And, she told me about an unfortunate thing that happened with one of her campaign team members who lost his life. She did not give me the details of what happened to that key member of her campaign. But what she told me was that it forced her to put her campaign, her last-minute preparations towards the polls tomorrow, on hold. And since then, I've not been able to talk to her. So that is one little setback, or one major setback as far as her campaigning towards tomorrow is concerned. But a lot of people are keenly waiting to see what happens tomorrow in Navrongo Central. And
absolutely, like you mentioned, Tangoba Abayage has been all over the place, very vociferous, granting interviews here and there. It is interesting that Kofi Adda has chosen to be silent in this period. What can you say about his campaign? What has been his approach on the ground?
Yeah, the only time I got the opportunity to talk to Kofi Adda was when he came to present his nomination forms to contest the primary. But I think that one of the reasons also has to do with the fact that he's a minister of state, and he doesn't, usually when he comes up here to visit his constituency, he has little time to go back to Accra. And so mainly because of that, most of us here in the Upper East region have not had the opportunity to engage him. But I do know that he's done a number of donations towards the towards supporting the fight of the spread of the coronavirus in his constituency. And I've seen him also come to engage, his campaign team and members of the constituency on 1 or 2 occasions. But compared to Tangoba Abayage, he's not seen granting, so many interviews. And it's difficult to explain what his reasons are at the moment.
And as we wrap up on this, Albert, would you say, this is a tough one, but I hope that you can give us a response to that. Would you say that his popularity has waned over the period? And as you do that, just tell us what we can expect as you lead the team tomorrow for the coverage.
Well, I wouldn't say that his popularity has waned. I covered the submission of his nomination forms and the people who came out to support him when he was submitting his form, were as many as the people who came out to support Tangoba Abayage. But just like I was saying, it's because he is not present in the region like the regional minister is. So it appears that the minister gets to engage the people more by virtue of the fact that she's stationed here most of the time, So that is what is creating the difference. But from what I have observed, Kofi Adda is still a force to reckon with in Abongo Central. And
definitely, Albert, you'll be leading the team in the Upper East region to bring us a comprehensive coverage of the primaries by the New Patriotic Party. Albert, thank you very much for joining us here on Joynews. Let's go back to Zoom. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk, and he joins us. Evans, we'll come to Adenta, which is your constituency. I know you know that area too well, but I want to start from Dobe Kwabenya in the also in the Greater Accra region. I think it is the biggest hotspot, if you ask me. You're having the incumbent, who is also the deputy majority leader. She is also the minister in charge of procurement, Minister of State. And then we have an ambassador to India, who is the son of the Speaker of Parliament. A very hot one there, Evans. What is your reading of what's happening there? Will Adjoa Safo retain her seat?
Well, most people expect her to retain the seat. Because of the track record she has as a member of parliament who, had held that seat. There's a famous story told of Adjoa Safo where in one of the elections, he had a situation where in the county, there was a misunderstanding in terms of the votes that was cast for her. And and how she stood firm, demanding a recount that eventually showed that she had actually won that particular seat. It is one of the largest constituencies in Ghana and means a lot for the incumbent party, and whichever party wins.
Is that what sparked the 2012 election petition? Is that what sparked it and drew the attention of the party to what perhaps maybe have happening elsewhere, like we reported?
Say that again. I missed. So I
was just saying that that incident perhaps is what sparked the 2012 election petition that saw us in court for 8 months because Adjoa Safo had hinted the party that this could be happening elsewhere in other constituencies.
I mean, but that tells you the kind of person she is. She is formidable. She is a woman, first of all, and she comes to this with that tenacity to win. You cannot underestimate that. Now, listen, the son of the Speaker, as in Michael Quaid Jr., we really don't know him in terms of his political campaigning acumen. I mean, his father is pretty famous. He himself has been given a position. That puts him, and the father really has been in that constituency for a while. In fact, that's a constituency that he also has strong tentacles in. question is, has the father still got enough in terms of in the tank to get the son across the finish line? Remember that politics has evolved over the years. And so is he going to rely on his father's track record? Because it's in India, by the way. That is pretty far off. And when you are an ambassador, you are, in essence, handicapped in your ability to do ground game. Remember, Augusta Four is an incumbent member of parliament. This is her constituency, and she's been in a position to nurture that constituency over the last 3 years. It's going to be an uphill task for Michael Quaid Jr. to unseat her. If he does, it'll be one of the biggest upsets in Ghana's political history.
Now let's talk about Adenta, your own backyard. We have Yabuabia Samoa also being contested. I saw a story by Ben Efson that says that if Yabuabia Samoa wins the seats for Adenta, the MPP might lose that seat because it is a swing seat, not a safe seat for both parties. What do you make of that?
Well, listen, this is going to be a tough one for Yabuabia Samoa. Now, the reason that it's going to be tough is that Adenta is one of those constituencies that, and Ben Efson is right, it's one of those swing constituencies. And even within political parties, you don't get a sense that the delegates themselves will like to stick to somebody just because he is an incumbent. I mean, they have no qualms whatsoever removing an incumbent at the primary, so you allow somebody else in. But it boils down to the quality of the position that Yabuabia Samoa is going to have. So if you look at the people that he's going to come up against, in the Emmanuel Kwesi Mante, for example, Frederick Ajiman Sapon, and Alfred Abebiokumi, we don't know much about them beyond the fact that a lot of them have paid their dues to the party and they've been campaigning very aggressively as well, making a lot of inroads in trying to get delegates to pay attention to what they offer. Now, one thing goes for Yabuabia Samoa, by the way. He is the party's communications director. That counts for a lot because he is not only a member of parliament, but he's serving the party in that capacity. What happens when you have a party executive? His position is not an elected one, it's an appointed one. Is that the party seem to be very sympathetic. When I say the party, I'm talking of the party structures, the executives, the power brokers. They tend to be very sympathetic because they know that the man hasn't only got to deal with his parliamentary duties. He is sacrificing to serve the party as well. And so the machinery needs to be, I guess, oiled in a way that also acknowledges that particular sacrifice.
Absolutely, and Evans, so and you're so right on that because
in the considerations
you're
of the
so
delegates.
right on that, Evans, because John Boydu, who is the General Secretary of the NPP, at a news conference to announce the final list of people who will be contesting tomorrow, mentioned Yabuabia Samoa's names twice. Okay, and then he went on to say that, well, the fact that I'm mentioning his name twice doesn't mean I'm endorsing it. And then there was outbursts of laughter. It sent a signal there that the party is behind Yabuabia Samoa. But we're wrapping up on this, Evans. What should we expect tomorrow as we cover this primaries by the NPP?
I mean, it's going to be all-round coverage. I mean, the team is prepped up and we have done recruitment so that we can get you up-to-the-minute reports of everything coming from all the 99 constituencies across the country. So you can expect that right from 7:30, where we started at 6, by the way, and then we go, we start the round-the-clock continuous coverage from 7:30 all the way to the evening. You will not miss a thing. This is your election headquarters, by the way, and this is what we do. If you can accuse us of anything else, but when it comes to the elections and primaries and things like that, this is where we shine. We have devoted a lot of resources to get our audiences in tune, and so you need to stay with them. You're going to have real crack guests with us in the studio. You're going to have reporters in every constituency, by the way, because you don't want to miss this at all in terms of the events that will unfold. And you can expect a really fantastic coverage in terms of speaking to those who matter and getting the breaking news stories from this time.
Evans, thank you very much for joining us, and see you tomorrow as we bring the comprehensive coverage to our viewers and listeners on Joy FM and here on the Joynews channel and all our platforms. We're taking a break now. It's now time for the latest in the world of business. Sandra Esina-Mapenu joins us via Zoom from home. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Ernest. Hopefully you can hear me today, and happy Friday.
Yes, I can hear you. You're looking beautiful
Great.
As always. What do you have for us in business?
Thank you, Ernest. Yes, we have a lot in business, but we start from the COVID-19 stories that we've been covering throughout this period. And the National Board for Small-Scale Industries is extending the application deadline to June 27, 2020 for small-scale businesses interested in the coronavirus business alleviation program. According to the Executive Director of the NBSSI, Koshiyanke Aye, the decision was arrived at after a consultation with stakeholders. She added that the move would help address technical issues with the application process.
The coronavirus alleviation program has been welcomed by many as a breakthrough support to push many micro, small and medium enterprises into sustainable operations after the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, NBSSI, the decision to give additional 6 days for potential applicants to complete the process is to ensure that all sectors of the economy are covered, as well as giving many people the opportunity to benefit from the stimulus package.
Also delayed applications due to challenges or in terms of the processes of getting some of the tax identification numbers. And now that they had those 10, they needed to be able to use that to complete the application forms, which they had started. So the extension is also an opportunity, as I mentioned, for us to mop up all the paper applications that the associations had given to their members. Associations ranging from the Ghana Private Schools, the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, the National Fish Processors and Traders Association, the Indigenous Caterers Association, the Ghana Federation of Urban Poor, who mostly used the paper application and had asked for an extension to support the work that they were doing.
She also disclosed that more than 450,000 applicants have so far been processed through the system.
It's Thursday, 18th June 2020. It's important to note that over 450,000 people had applied. The issue, as I have mentioned, is how possible and how quickly we can get them to complete those application processes to the end. This represents the micro, small, and medium enterprises, and it is very representative of how we define and the data of the MSMEs in this country. 75% of this number have successfully completed their applications. The online portal has also detected over 5,200 fraud alerts, which has made it made it possible for us to give this extension so that we'll be able to address all fraud cases that have come up on the platform. Applicants who registered by the USSD code on the various mobile networks represent 58%. The remaining are 41%, which represent those who have done it directly on the web or are using the paper application.
The deadline is expected to end on the 27th of June this year, after which the disbursement will begin.
Well, we know a lot of you have been complaining of job losses due to the coronavirus pandemic, but businesses that were looking for people to employ, it was almost 4,000 persons to fill various vacancies at workplaces in the first 4 months of this year, despite the coronavirus pandemic. This was captured in the Bank of Ghana's Real Sector Report ending May this year. Judge Riafe has been going through the report and has filed the following report.
The labor market indicators compiled by the Bank of Ghana showed that advertised jobs in the daily graphic went up significantly for the first 4 months of this year compared to the same period for last year, as it hit 61.7% to reach 1,389. Almost 1,000 jobs were advertised in March. These developments resulted in an uptick in the job advert index to 270.2 in April this year, from 193.6 in March. If you also look at it from March this year to April, the numbers shot up by 40%. According to the Bank of Ghana, these developments resulted in an uptick in its job advert index. This should mean that from January to April this year, a little over 3,700 jobs were advertised. The level of online jobs collated from 10 online jobs advertising platforms was 2,403 in April. But which sectors were these adverts coming from? Well, according to the Bank of Ghana, the services sector accounted for majority of these advertised jobs. Now let's give you the areas that drove this 80% request from the services sector. Finance, insurance, and real estate accounted for a little over 20%. Followed by wholesale and the retail trade, that is 12.3%. This data has indeed raised some concerns. Were all these places indeed filled, or they are yet to? Then why are we still witnessing some complaints from even the very skilled personnel in the job industry about a high unemployment in the country? An interesting issue worth considering is why businesses are still recruiting when they claim to be working to downsize their business because of the current economic environment and the shocks coming from the coronavirus.
And still on the coronavirus pandemic, Vodafone Ghana has begun moves to intensify safety of its distributors in the country. Chief Executive of Vodafone Ghana, Patricia Obodai, led a team to begin the distribution from some major markets in Accra. Speaking to the media, the CEO hinted that Vodafone has taken a bold initiative to ensure that the country wins the fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
So since the outbreak started in Ghana, Vodafone has been supporting our customers, supporting our employees, and also supporting our society in which we operate. We have done a lot for our students, zero rating our online platforms for them to be able to study. We're giving a lot of data to customers to be able to use on the network. We are doing a lot of network expansion. But just recently as well, the president announced that it is mandatory that everybody should wear a mask. If my business is going to thrive, I need to think about, aside from my employees, the people on the ground who work every day and sell my SIM cards and sell my scratch cards. And so today, together with my team, we are out here to show a token of love. And we are doing this national, across the country. We are giving masks to all our agents, so that they can at least be protected. If something happens to the agent, I don't have a business. It touches his household as well. So this is not just touching the agent, protecting him so that he can protect his family as well. And this is why we came, to show them that it is from the leadership, it's from the top. We want them to respect it. We want them to wear the mask. And this is a token of our love for them and show them the love that we have for all the contribution they've been making to help Vodafone to grow. So that is why I personally came today to do this with the team.
And that will be all for the first part of business. I've been doing this from home. When I come back in the second part, we have a lot more to talk about as hotels get ready to welcome guests once again after the coronavirus pandemic was recorded, or the cases were recorded for the first time in Ghana. My name is Sandra Esinamapen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'm back after 8 p.m.
Thank you very much, Sandra, and we're looking forward to that story about the hospitality industry opening up. We're taking a break here on Joynews Prime. When we return, I'll take you to the Upper West region and also to the Western region. We'll tell you what's happening there as far as the primaries is concerned. Stay with us. Let's bring you some more stories here on Joynews Prime. Now, in spite of a new law that makes it mandatory for citizens in Ghana to wear face masks, many are defiant as they walk in public spaces without any care. A section of the Ghanaian people have openly expressed their disagreement with the new law, describing it as needless. Latif Idris has been out and about checking on the compliance level of the new law and now reports.
The new law that incriminates not wearing of face masks in public places has now kicked in, with people convicted of the offense facing up to 10-year jail term. You may have your reservations, but that is the law. That notwithstanding, disregard for the rather extremely punitive law is glaring as many people walk about without their face masks.
I boys no so mo se. It is somebody na baby pa o mo be se pa na se. O me de o mo mla ha bi.
The complaint she's given is that a lot more of the young men selling phones here are not compliant. They are not wearing the face masks. And that is evident. You are facing 10-year jail term.
Yeah.
Why do you want to risk that by not wearing, and also to protect your own self?
Yeah. I won't say you protect your home, but and I can say, yeah, me who's so be
they don't feel comfortable wearing the face mask. That is why they are not wearing it. There are better things government has to focus on, like the issues of sanitation, which area government must focus, and that is not happening.
To say sanitation, bra. Sanitation, circle, even a kind of hoa. Yahuni Dena and Toy and Tray and then I start buying to Michel Mukina, and I know smash him run as I buy the Besha Mukina. I want him to say, you know, go feel where I'm all this, not go feel the way I'm all the days. Since this morning, I wear him, see my mouth. If I touch them, somebody know the hair. You see that where the heat, my hair said they bash me.
You're not wearing your face mask?
Yeah, it's true, I'm not wearing.
Why?
I just fell down, so.
Fell down, that's an excuse you are giving.
Yeah. I used to wear.
But you know, you could go to jail for 10 years for not wearing your face mask.
I've heard about that one, but to me, I disagree with that compulsory issue. Do you understand? Because governments have provided a lot of things to other institutions, schools, and those stuff. What about those we that are on the streets? Government has not bothered to do anything for us, and it's arresting us for not wearing nose masks. For me, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense to me.
A lot more people have now placed their trust and faith in face masks and hand sanitizers. That cannot and will not save us.
Omam so am sayare omam sise utiate kura ba besis omu nyina yera etu omu gidie ne sei denti no sum Yesu ayare we aboa ketua bi we me na to me nsama peche no.
If the police should come here today, all majority of the phone dealers here could go to jail per the new law, 4 to 10 years jail term, and they are ready and willing to sacrifice to go to jail. Most of them are not complying and are not wearing the face masks here at Circle, the Tiptoe Lane, the hub of phone dealership in Ghana. This is Latif Idris reporting for Joy News.
Oreku Ampo for joining us with today's updates from home. Hello, Oreku, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
I'm fine. What's up in sports today?
Okay, so we do start off from the local front, and President of the Ghana Football Association, Ket Simeon Okuraku, has admitted that the Federation would accept the outcome of the ruling from CAS in the case involving his outfit and Wilfred Osei. Now, the Court of Arbitration for Sport has revealed that it will decide on the future of Ketokreku's administration next month. CAS told the GFA on Thursday that it has set 17 July as the date to rule on Wilfred Osei Palmer's case that he was illegally disqualified from the Ghana FA presidential elections that brought Ketokreku to power. Now, the Ket-led administration have agreed to adhere to the outcome of the ruling, and the case has got the potential of ordering for a fresh start Ghana FA elections just 9 months after Ketokreku won the polls. Now, Palmer, he dragged the Ghana FA to CAS over his unfair disqualification from the presidential race in October last year, and the situation has put the presidency of Ketokreku on the line with wide-reaching implications if Palmer becomes successful. They'll be keeping you up to date on what happened with that story as well, in case, and keeping you up to date with the ruling from CAS and what that means for the current GFA as to when the news do come in. But before we do go, let's just catch up with some international news. And Leroy Sané wants to leave Manchester City, according to manager Pep Guardiola. And City have been trying to persuade a 24-year-old German winger to sign an extension to his contract, which expires in 2021. But Sané, who has been linked with Bayern Munich for the past 12 months, has rejected several offers. And Sané joined Man City from Schalke for £37 million on a 5-year deal in 2016. He has not played for the club since suffering a cruciate ligament damage during the Community Shield in August. And Gajela said that he has been speaking to Sonny about twice or three times about a new deal, and added that when we make an offer to the player, it's because we do want him. He has special quality. We want players that want to play with the club and achieve targets. He is a nice guy, and I love him so much, and I have nothing against him, but he wants another adventure. And you keep in mind that it's Bayern Munich who are the side that have been linked with Sonny. Remember, he is German, and automatically almost every German footballer wants to play for the Bavarian Giants. So it's a matter of when than if Sonny would be putting on that red jersey for Bayern Munich.
Now, a little over 2,000 delegates will decide the fate of 11 aspirants of the New Patriotic Party in 5 constituencies in the Upper West region. Apart from the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, who is going unopposed, the rest of the 4 constituencies will be hotly contested. Joynews' Upper West correspondent, Rafiq Salam, reports that the Sisala West, East and the Wa East constituencies will be keenly contested.
I prayed for it and it has come. I think that I'm grateful for that. I want to believe that my people have come.
Apart from Interior Minister Ambrose Derry, who is going unopposed in the Nondom constituency, the remaining 4 constituencies will be hotly contested for by 11 stalwarts of the party. 4 of the aspirants are incumbents seeking re-election. Among them is Deputy Roads and Highways Minister Anthony Inyo Abayfa-Kabo. He seemed to have a less difficult task among the quadruplets due to the tremendous development he has brought to the Laura constituency, coupled with the caliber of contender he is facing on Saturday. He is of the belief that another 4 years as a legislature will give the people of the Laura constituency the needed development they have longed for.
And the change we are expecting will happen, the development will come, the educational infrastructure will come, our water policy will be in place, the bridge will be in place, technical education will be in place, and more importantly, all communities in Laura are currently being connected to the national grid. Contractors are working, so there's a lot happening. Even in the stronghold of the NDC, we are providing them electricity they have denied the people in the last 40 years.
This is the second time Belson Donta, a former employee of the Ghana Revenue Authority, is pitching his strength against Anthony Abayfa-Kabo. In the first instance 4 years ago, he was completely battered and humiliated by the latter. Belson Donta could only manage 63 out of the 600 votes. It's been alleged that he's been pushed to the election by some bigwigs of the party in the region to settle political scores, an allegation that Belson daughter has strenuously denied.
Either speculation or propaganda. It's a figment of the imagination of some people. There is no truth at all in this.
There's another 2 horses race in the Sisala East constituency, a constituency which is a swing seat but was first won by the MPP in the 2016 election by a political rookie, Ridwan Abbas Dauda, after 24 years of unsuccessful attempt by the party to win the seat.
So in 2015, I came with a simple message, and the message was give me the opportunity and I will score. And I was given the mandate in 2015 when we went for the parliamentary primaries. I won with 41 votes. I went in for the general election in opposition. And for the first time, I scored. MPP won the seat. So would you want to change a scorer and bring somebody who can score a goal?
No. However, Deputy Upper West Regional Minister Amidu Chine Isaku has other ideas.
If I become Member of Parliament, I'll establish MP's office in the constituency. Because it is not every constituent that can reach the MP, either on phone or directly. Once I have an office, I'll have a secretary there. People can take their concerns to the office. The secretary can relay them to me.
In the Wa East constituency, 3 aspirants have filed to unseat incumbent Godfred Bayontango The local musician turned politician is not perturbed about the people breathing under his neck.
From a percentage of 14% that we chalked in 1986, but when I came into the scene in the year 2000, I was able to move this to 24%. And from 24% into 2004, when I was a DC, I was able to move that percentage to 48% and won the seat. And I've won it 3 out of 5 elections that I've contested. I have won 3, so I'm a good scorer.
His strongest opposition is likely going to come from his old foe, Engineer Yakubu Salifu.
Delegates and the executives who are going to vote in this election, they have known me for long. It's not today that they are going to know me. And they see the kind of leadership I gave to them even after I lost the last elections.
Adams S. Yakubu and Bado Nasruddin completes the list of aspirants. In the Sesala West constituency, Patrick Adam Al-Hassan will have it tough against former Sesala West District Chief Executive Salifu Nelwe.
It's very, very, very important for us to mess around. We cannot afford to give the seat back to NDC or PNC.
However, Salifu Nelwe thinks the hope of the party in the constituency is being lost and needs to be restored.
Surely, you can see the teeming supporters behind me. This is just but a fraction. I am a person of people.
The third aspirant in the race is John Bosco Sluri. The MPP moved from 0 to win 5 seats in the 2016 general election in the Upper West region, an achievement that shocked many in the region, but not SB Kangbare, which was an issue when he was campaigning to be the party's Upper West regional chair.
I believe it's a fluke. I think that is a cock taking credit for daybreak just because it happened to crow at that time. I don't think so.
Now he's in the saddle. Fluke or no fluke, the people are waiting with bated breath to see what is different beneath his leaves. Reporting for Joynews, Rafik Salam.
To the Western region now, and the Western Region NPP organizer Abdul Ganiyu Mohammed says the region is poised for a violence-free parliamentary primaries tomorrow. In all 7 constituencies will be hotly contested. For out of the 13 constituencies, Abdul Ganiyu Mohammed has been given a breakdown of what is expected tomorrow.
Good. Preparation is underway. Everything is set. We are waiting for tomorrow to come. Then the election will start. In terms of security, the police are ready. I'm just coming from the police station to see the regional police command. They are ready to provide us the services. The Electoral Commission is also ready because he has received all the documents that he needs to work with. That is the album of the various electoral areas in the constituencies. Then we have the candidates, everybody is ready. The regional executives, everybody is traveling to wherever he has been asked to man from. So currently, as I speak, everything is set. We are expected to have 3,823 delegates voting across the 7 constituencies. You know, we have 13 constituencies. 6 are going unopposed. All the candidates who are also contested, they are also delegates. They have the right to vote. Then we have Council of Elders and Patron 5 each. So we have about 70 of them participating. So in this figure of 3,823 are this category of voters who are going through tomorrow's exercise. Then we have other areas like Amenfi East, Kwesimin, Efia, and the rest, where competition is very key, and we are expecting to have a very peaceful election, God willing, tomorrow. To the delegates and everybody, I think this is an exercise, indoor exercise or in-house exercise to select somebody who represents the party or contest on the ticket of the party.
Let me take you to the courts now. The Supreme Court has indefinitely adjourned its judgment in the case filed by the NDC, which was slated for June 23. The court has also, in a unanimous decision, matched the two cases against the EC's voter registration exercise. This follows an application by Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Adame, who said the two cases arise substantially from the same set of facts. Both cases raise issues regarding the EC's decision to compile a new register and which documents should be used for the registration. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
The NDC is asking the Apex Court to direct the Electoral Commission to allow eligible Ghanaians use the existing voters' ID card as proof of citizenship. The party had earlier challenged the EC's decision to compile a new register, but abandoned that course after the court asked it to clarify what relief it once granted. The court had fixed June 23 to deliver its decision on whether or not the existing voters' ID card can be used in the upcoming registration exercise. As the EC and the nation waited for the judgment, a new suit was filed against the commission. Describing himself in the spirit as a native of Breman Kokoso in the Esikuma Odobin Brakwa district of the Central Region, Mark Tichi Benson is challenging the decision of the Electoral Commission to use the Ghana card and the Ghanaian passport as the only identification documents. He wants the EC to be directed to include a birth certificate and the existing voter's ID card as evidence of identification in the upcoming mass voter registration exercise. Deputy AG Godfrey Adame, moving his motion on Friday, said the two cases border on the same facts and have similar reliefs. The opposition NDC's legal team, led by Godwin Tamaklo, initially opposed the application. Mr. Tamaklo said the new case was different from the initial one. A member of the panel of justices, Justice Badegbe, however, disagreed with Mr. Tamaklo. He said the court merging the two cases will, however, mean they will render judgment in both matters. Mr. Tamaklo at that point said the party withdraws its opposition. The other parties in the case, including the EC, did not oppose the motion. The court granted the Deputy Attorney General's motion. The court announced that as a result of the merger, it has adjourned indefinitely its judgment in the NDC case, which was slated for June 23. The plaintiff in the second case has been directed to file a statement of case by Monday, June 22. The AG's office and the EC is to respond by June 23. The two cases have been adjourned to June 24 for oral arguments.
And you're reminded to stay with us all day tomorrow as we bring you comprehensive coverage of the NPP primaries. Away from that, 4 new deaths and 274 more cases take Ghana's total COVID-19 case count to 13,203, with 70 deaths. The latest deaths involved 3 males and a female, all from the Ashanti region. Now, active cases stand at 8,585 and recoveries at 4,548 cases. Now, in other news, the Central Regional Police Command has arrested 131 persons who breached the law on the restrictions imposed as a result of COVID-19. Such persons, according to the Central Regional Police Commander, COP Paula Wuni, have been processed and put before court, and the regional commander at a regional briefing on their preparedness towards the reopening of schools indicated they are going to ensure strict adherence to the law.
Today, we have arrested 131 persons who breached these protocols, and they have all been processed and put before court. Coming to the issue about our schools, the partial opening of our schools, we have a very simple operational strategy to ensure that the protocols are observed. Before schools vacated, we were deploying personnel on patrols on the various campuses, particularly our visibility personnel, and to ensure that our students comply fully with the directives. We will intensify these patrols on the campuses, both by uniform and plainclothes personnel. This will help us to identify students who are violating the directive, and then by so doing, we'll be able to get them to comply.
24-hour alerts abandoning their families to aid Ghana battle the coronavirus, but frontline workers at the Ghana East Municipal Hospital, one of the nation's treatment centers, say their biggest challenge now is stigma. Some of the workers who spoke to my colleague PSA Nanaya Osafo say taxi and Uber drivers often refuse them rides to and from work. They are calling on the president to seriously consider their transport issues. There's more of their human struggles in the following report.
When you come on night duties too, all of you cannot sleep at a time, so we run a schedule. Sleep for 2 hours, then I also take up. So
you've heard stories about their sleepless nights.
The gynecological glove that will straight to this place, that one we don't have it, and we are short of it.
You've heard stories about prolonged calls for adequate PPEs. But do you know they also live in fear of the virus?
They wanted you, the leader, to take the first step. So I didn't do it alone. I did it with one of my staff. So we went in there, put on our full PPE, while some of them stood there and observed. We received our patient. We went through the process I've told them, and it was safe. Then you realize that the confidence level started popping up.
Evelyn Naki Douna is Quality and Safety Manager, Infection, Prevention and Control at the Ghana East Municipal Hospital. She leads and is part of a team of health workers adopting various measures to treat coronavirus at the hospital. Over 400 of Ghana's cases have been treated here so far, with 89% of patients discharged. But the workers are human too, and when they get some free time, which they rarely do, they sometimes wish for the life outside.
At times during the rainy season, people were like, hey, this weather and I'm here, my wife is there, you guys, you release some of us and let's go. So they call me, CCC, please can I go home? I say, no, you can't go home now.
They also crave better entertainment when all is said and done in their new home, making sure Ghana is not sick.
And the television they will do and DSTV.
Our programs and listen to news in the Western countries, then we can learn and also hard on. We want something like that. People sharing their story, then we can look at our process. If we need to modify something to make it the best. In fact, people send out WhatsApp messages, but if we are also hearing from the Western country, there's a meter saying what is the effect, what is it happening? Let's see what is happening and how effective it has been. We want to work, and if possible, Nanado can arrange for every Sunday Omotos or live band. Why not?
But most of all, they wish that the stigmatization will stop.
So does your family know you are doing this job?
Yeah.
And how did they take it?
From the beginning, I didn't let them know. Seriously, yeah. Because I didn't want them to get panic.
I have a little challenge. It's been with the Uber drivers. Sometimes you request for the Uber. The driver will get here, but when you get there, the driver is gone. You ask the security drivers, they tell you, they ask them, what, is it not here they keep the COVID patients? Then he just sped off. So please, the Uber drivers, we are not dangerous.
It gets worse.
It's the biggest challenge because I remember when it rained heavily, we were coming. The driver stopped and asked us to get out from the car. We had to carry our things and cross. In fact, it wasn't easy. He said if he knew we were coming here, he wouldn't have stopped.
So they even ask you where you are before they even come. So when you say you are Ghanaian, then they will laugh. They say, Mamina is waiting, Pacho, wait, they mean to me back. Then, so they will cancel the.
They have a request for the president.
We need a big bus for the hospital to convey the staff, or they can dash some of us Picanto. We wouldn't mind.
In all, they remain unbroken in their resolve and work tirelessly in hopes of a COVID-free future. PSA Nanaya Osafo, Joynews.
Hawkers on the Adome Bridge in the Eastern Region who jostle daily to eke out a living say many commuters shun them because of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, few clients and many more hawkers mean more aggression to survive, with many not observing social and physical distancing. Jojo Kobna observes that the hawkers are choosing money over their health.
This story is set in Atimpoku, the Adome Bridge in the Eastern Region. Here, traders work with aggression. Being sluggish would mean low or no sales. For travelers who frequent the stretch, it is always a good time to grab some 1,000 fish and local delicacy, abolo. In this period of COVID-19, public health experts insist on social and physical distancing, but the practice is rarely adhered to here.
Business is not moving.
Why?
Since Corona came, when you come to market, nothing.
Emilia Chale is learning how to sew. She sells part-time to eke out a living and supports her family. She complains of low sales because many travelers are scared of the virus. This would mean more aggression to get the attention of few customers who would gamble to buy their wares.
Yes, I'm even tired. At the same time, I'm an apprentice. I'll go to work from Monday to Friday. Saturday I have to rest, but because of money, I'll come to market. If I come to the market too, boy, not easy, not easy.
After intense running, some find time to catch their breath. It is a daily struggle for Rose Monoklu to put food on her table. After completing secondary school, the plan was to be either a journalist or a nurse. But for now, that dream almost looks impossible because of financial constraints.
Master, it's not easy. Difficult part is since morning you come to market because of this business, this coronavirus. If you run to a car, go away. We've heard that the coronavirus is here. You yourself, you think about it. You cannot even just imagine what is going on. So it's not easy. Running around, some of pregnant women fell down when running. Some of pregnant women fell down when running. So if something happened like that, you feel sorry for yourself. So at times if I come to market, I swear I feel sorry for myself because I don't know the reason why I completed school and I'll be chasing car here. I feel ashamed of myself if I see some of my colleagues passing by. Either a journalist or a nurse. Yeah, I'm sure. That's why I'm trying my maximum best to help my parents. So if the right time comes, God will make it.
As many of these people chase their dreams, they pay little attention to social distancing and use of hand sanitizers. Being slow would mean hunger. Running and jostling for sales could expose them to the coronavirus. Coronavirus or hunger virus. Jojo Kobner, Joynews.
On COVID-19, healthcare seekers at the Komfo Teaching Hospital will no longer have to walk long distances to buy medicines that are not captured under the National Health Insurance Scheme. It follows the establishment of a pharmacy to provide 24-hour service to members of the public who until now had to look elsewhere to buy prescribed medicines, especially at night. Officials say the new facility offers relief to ensure prompt attention to patients.
Chief Executive of Komfo Hospital, Dr. Oheneba Osudanso, explains introduction of the new 24-hour service is complemented by availability of drugs at the referral center.
Look at the statistics that were then available. In 2017, the general drug availability in the hospital was 41%. And then the emergency drug availability was 83%. The board and management has worked assiduously, and as I speak, the general drug availability for the hospital is 69%, and then the emergency drug availability is 93%. Thanks to this pharmacy, it has actually increased the scope of our items that are stocked here. The significant contribution made by this is not just the stocking of medicines, but also the financial outlay. We were having serious challenges as far as our medicines revenue is concerned. This is not to say that we are not dealing with health insurance medications. We have all the kinds of pharmacy shops or pharmacies in every directory that is serving all the insured medicines which are paid for by the National Health Insurance Scheme. But this one is a special purpose pharmacy to make sure that we do, from beginning to end.
Lydia Ajua Konadu is manager of the pharmacy. She explains the significance of the pharmacy in improving care for patients.
And as we know, all 24-hour pharmacy, they come in to close the gap of the non-insured drugs. We do a lot of the drugs on the essential drug list, but the 24-hour pharmacy comes in to bring in the innovators, and specifically those that are not on the insurance. If I have to do more of insurance drug, then I will be competing with my own institutions. And then I also do a lot of non-drugs. I have cervical colitis, even up to Chalowati, because people move in and ask. Definitely distance is shorter. Our clients move from here at the middle of the night. They go to KJTR, they go to the environs, but here it's within. So if you want to buy anything, you just walk at the middle of the night, you are here. During the day, you're just here. You just walk and you are here. Certain areas, you even have to go with a form of transportation. But 24-hour pharmacy within the hospital, you don't have to walk too much or take any form of transportation. We have a pharmacist on the COVID-19 team. And what happens is that usually when they need any medication, my place is the first point of call. So I give it to them on credit, and later the hospital reimburses me. And so far, with the inception of COVID-19, I've served drugs more than 100,000 Ghana cedis to the COVID-19 team.
Nana Asensumensa reporting.
And let's go to Sandra for the very latest in the second half. Hello, Sandra. What do you have for us this time? Well, Sandra, you have to unmute because I didn't hear you. I see your beautiful smile, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Ernest?
I can hear you. I know you are getting used to this, and so, yes.
Ernest, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Sandra. Please take it away.
Yes, so I was asking, the hotels are ready. How ready are you?
I am not ready. I don't know when I'm going to be ready. But at least not now.
That are being put in place to just protect you, so we have that in business.
Tell me and let's see if that will change my mind.
Hopefully you change your mind. Welcome to the second part of business. Hotels across the country are reopening with new safety protocols amid the coronavirus pandemic. Already the pandemic has wreaked havoc on the already struggling hospitality sector with over $2 billion lost so far. Charles Aite visited two major hotels, the Labardi Beach Hotel and the Kempinski Gold Coast City, to experience firsthand the extent to which safety protocols have been stepped up in wait for customers.
You observe the social distancing by at least stepping onto this particular footnote. If you step here, you're required to check in, and these are specialized pens that you use in check-in, and these are sanitized pens that the hotel has come up with. You could see the label there. Please use a sanitized pen here. Each and every minute after a client uses this pen, you'd have to pick it up, you use the pen, then you drop it into the bin. Here, it gets sanitized once again for reuse. But one particular thing too is that when you've checked in, you've entered into your room and you're checking out, you drop the keys here, it gets sanitized once again. All these in place to ensure the safety of not just clients, but of course, workers here.
Well, Labardi Beach being the institution that it is, health and safety is everything to us.
Renee Vincent Ernst is managing director for Labardi Beach Hotel. He tells me much investment has been lost, but they still have no choice than to keep investing in safety protocols.
It's been devastating. This year has been a terrible year.
It's quite an interesting scene here. You could see this is the gallery bar of Kempinski. It's kind of currently out of service, and it's not very much of a serious issue, unusual matter. We do know that currently there is a ban on the operations of bars across the country.
I'm here to experience the new safety protocol put in place by managers. The knobs of these elevators are sanitized before and after a client gets on.
So I see it's a maximum of 2 people in this lift. Social distancing protocol.
Millions of cities have been lost, but hoteliers are braving up for the opportunities ahead.
Namesh Nambia is the general manager for the Kempinski Gold Coast City.
Sanitizers, disinfectants, masks, these are the new normals. So these have all played very strongly on to the bottom line of most of the businesses.
Even as hotels and restaurants open for business, the sector still needs to heal from the deep wounds of the coronavirus. It's very interesting to note that even though so many people out there, yourself, myself, could be concerned about our health, major hotels like that of Kempinski are very much confident that with the strict safety protocols and social distancing measures they have in place, safety of clients and that of even their own workers is top-notch. Of course, they're telling us that it's not just about profits, it's also about the health of customers and how far COVID-19 could not disrupt business operations in the short to medium term. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
So much, Charles Aite, for that interesting reporting. Now, the managing director of ADB, Dr. John Kofi Mensah, has attributed his bank's resilience despite the coronavirus outbreak to recent regulatory reforms. He spoke to George Wiafe on PM Express.
There was a challenge, but we don't expect that this challenge will perpetuate and therefore have very significant impact on the banking industry. We are going to get over it, and there are already signs. I always talk about the fact that if the economy is good or is moving well in the right direction, the banking industry will also be doing well. The banks exist in the economy. So once you see a robust economy, you're likely to have also a very efficient banking industry, especially in Ghana, when issues involving trying to put the banking industry in good shape, recapitalizations that occurred, new regulatory frameworks. It's really toughened the banking industry for this COVID-19. I was just thinking recently that if the banking industry had not been strengthened post-COVID-19, pre-COVID-19, it may have been a disaster. But I think the banks are strong enough. The industry has been really strengthened, and it has really absorbed the shocks without any bad ramifications.
How strong are the shocks to withstand the rough roads and the manholes ahead of us?
Well, I think when we want to look at the strength of a typical bank, the main thing is the capital. Then also, as a result of the regulatory frameworks, you build a robust balance sheet, which the banks have done. Some banks with lower strength have been put together. So you can really see that these things were done as if regulators knew that there would be COVID-19, even though they didn't know. Yes, they didn't know. So I think
And so on the banking sector, the coalition of customers affected by the banking sector collapse has expressed their disappointment in government for what they described as inept handling of their locked-up investment payments. Over 2,000 members in the Bono region are kicking against government's 50% payment or a 5-year bond plan. Precious Semevo has more in the following report.
The coalition of people affected by the banking collapse includes persons whose investments are still locked up in the many defunct microfinance companies such as DKM, Jasta Motors, and the recent bank and financial sector cleanups. Prince Ajay Hayford, like Yaro Abdullahi, Emmanuel Asante, and many others claims his locked up investments has rendered him helpless to the extent his sister, who depends on him, has deferred her university education. He, however, hopes the government will ease his burden by paying him in full what he described as his substantial investment.
That's GM Bank. So life is about money. Morning to evening, you have family to take care of. I had a younger sister who was at the university, and then now she has to defer because there's no money to pay the school fees. They all rely on you. I'm very, very, very helpless. Almost like miserable now. At first, we were going up and down, do your normal business as a young man, but now people see you as a kind of a failure in the society just because you did one investment that you thought it would give you interest to make you go higher. The money that I saved, I think that will make life better for me. That's what I want. He should listen to us, give us the money.
At a press conference in Sunyani, the aggrieved customers of the defunct financial institutions with about 2,000 members in the region said the government's new arrangement of a payment plan will worsen their already bad situation. Nicholas Agarena is their spokesperson.
Government is saying they can't pay us. They have issued a 5-year bond for our locked up deposit. How can you take someone's money for 5 good years and say you won't add any interest to the money? Then after many of us depositors agitated by saying we cannot wait for 5 years and we want our money now, then government tells us to take the 5-year bonds to Ghana Consolidated Bank, who would discount the bond by 50% of the face value amount and pay that to us immediately, whilst we forfeit the remaining 50%. Through this action, government has rendered us depositors impotent, useless, and redundant. We have lost our loved ones who died from the shock and pain of losing their lifetime investment. Our wives have deserted us.
He said they are giving the government a 2-week ultimatum to initiate alternative plans to effect payment of their locked-up investment, else they will march to the seat of government and only leave when full payment is done.
We want to use this medium to serve a 2-week ultimatum to government to initiate alternative plans, not the 50% or the 5-year bond, to pay all depositors our monies as soon as possible. We want government to understand that we didn't force them to collapse any bank or financial institutions. If after 2 weeks we don't receive any favorable revised payments from the initial plan by government, we shall besiege the Jubilee House and occupy it till they pay us our money. We shall not leave the Jubilee House until every single one of us is paid. So boy, we have duly served our notice.
For Joynews, Precious Semevo, Sunyani.
Some strong warning there. And this is how the week ended on the commodity markets. Brent crude closed trading with 1.49% gain to sell at $42.13. A barrel precious mineral gold wrapped up the week at $1,741.57 an ounce. Let's check the market figures in commodity news. And definitely, that's how we wrap up for business for the week with me, Sandra Esenam. I've been grateful for your time. Allowing me into your homes. I've been doing this from home, and you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. Please stay home, stay safe, and stay beautiful. And thanks so much for watching.
And thank you, Sandra, for business. You also stay safe and enjoy the weekend.
Are you satisfied with the measures so far?
A lot of diligence there, but I still have, some questions in my mind and a little bit.
You want to channel them through me?
Well, we can talk about that off air. Thank you very much.
All right, Ernest,
Sandra, enjoy the weekend. And sports is up next. Stay with us. We have more sports stories for you, and Oreku Ampofo joins us from home. Oreku, we lost you during the first half, just when you were wrapping up on that story. Hopefully you can fill us in on this belt.
Certainly there, and I hope, Ernest, you're doing well.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So what we do have in the second belt, we do start with some local stories. And the Director General of the Ghana Police Service, COP Yatiwa Adudankwa, on Friday, June 19, paid a working visit to the headquarters of the Ghana Football Association. Now, the visit follows discussion between the Inspector General of Police, IGP James Opombuenu, and the President of the Ghana Football Association, Ket Simon Okreku, earlier this week concerning the Baba Yara shooting incident that happened in the Ghana Premier League. Now, the Ghana Police is advancing its investigation into a shooting incident during a Premier League match between Asante Kotoko and Berekum Chelsea in January. The Ghana Football Association announced, and the country's football governing body has been working hand in hand with the security agency and continues to do so. Currently, the FA has 2 prosecutors, with one from the police service, who are playing key roles for the association.
We do appreciate the contribution, or the massive contribution by the police service to sports in general in this country, and most importantly to football. When I was growing up, I used to live at New Achimota, and we never had any good pitch but for the police depot pitch. So I'll wake up in the morning, jog to the police depot to go and play football. And that pitch at the police depot park has produced a lot of national assets. A lot. That was the beginning of my knowledge about the police service contribution towards football development. Beyond which, of course, you've set up the police female team, which has been one of my most watched team this season at the Magdan Park. I mean, beyond you having sporting teams, you also police our sports for us. And but for your ever-present presence at our games, I'm not sure we would have been able to maintain and protect life and property over the length and breadth of the country. So we very much appreciate your effort. I remember when I met with the IGP, I suggested the possibility of the police service setting up a sports policing unit. And gladly enough, when he wrote back to us, he said it's something that he would consider. And we are very much happy, because if we go back to the happenings in 2001, during the May 9th disaster, clearly a lot of lessons would have been learned. And if we're able to put that unit together, I think that it will help. Yesterday, I chanced on a data which I want to share. The football industry and our football clubs take care of 70,800 kids a year. 70,800 kids a year. This is the strength of the football industry, and I'm talking about only footballers. I'm not talking about the administrators. So it is a massive industry that needs the support of everybody, central government agencies like your good selves, etc., etc. So we are extremely happy. I think the love that you have shown to us is beyond our imagination, and we have to return it in a special way. I don't know what kind of way we can return it, but we will. So we are happy, and we're very much looking forward to working with you.
We've come here today to just strengthen the relationship that we have. Like you rightly said, the IGP is considering, in fact, he has referred the fact that we should have the policing, sport policing, to a team to look at the modalities, look at what is happening elsewhere, so that we can fine-tune it to suit our own situation. Then talking about the football, the depot park, in fact, before you even visited, our sport director had submitted a proposal even to the previous administration, which was under consideration. It has been reactivated, and then some quantities have been submitted, and it has been submitted to the IGP for consideration.
To some more stories, and Paris Saint-Germain forward Neymar must pay 6.7 million euros to former club FC Barcelona, Spanish court has ruled. The Brazilian international claimed he was owed 43.6 million euros in loyalty bonuses by FC Barcelona, who he left in August 2017. A judge ruled in favor of the La Liga side, but the 28-year-old player, who filed the suit shortly after the transfer, can appeal against this decision. Barcelona said they are welcome in terms of the judgment and would continue to firmly defend its legitimate interest. The Brazil forward also made a complaint to the world governing body FIFA after Barcelona failed to pay his 220 million euros move in 2017. As well as not paying Neymar, Barcelona started legal proceedings against him to pay back £8 million, which he received when he signed a deal with them in 2016. FIFA did not take any action, saying it would leave the case to the courts. So it looks like that would be a lot of back and forth with Neymar and FC Barcelona there. But I'll be keeping you up to date. And before I do go, let me keep you up to date on the matches currently being played. And with Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, just over 10 minutes left to play in that game. Tottenham Hotspur still leading through their first half strike by Steven Bergwijn, and FC Barcelona and Sevilla is currently tied 0-0 in that match as well as they head into halftime. My name is Oreko Ampofo, and that wraps it up for the sports segment here.
Oreko, thank you very much for bringing us sport, and stay safe, enjoy the weekend. Let's bring you some more news here on Joynews. Prime contact tracing has begun for a medical doctor who voluntarily declared his COVID-19 status on social media. Dr. Kobna Ntribosiako announced Thursday on Twitter he had tested positive for the virus. He's been speaking with Joynews on how he arrived at that decision.
Upon return from a short travel last week, Dr. Ntribosiako says he started experiencing symptoms of COVID-19.
When I got back to Kumasi, I had general body pains, and that was on Saturday. So the next day I became very feverish. I couldn't eat. I was throwing up, and I decided to go to the hospital. So I was admitted. And some labs were run and all that. So the next day, which was on Monday, I did a COVID-19 test. And on Tuesday, after the test, I was fine, clinically stable, and I was discharged to go. And I received my COVID-19 test yesterday, and it came out positive.
As a frontline worker with a strong desire to demystify the pandemic, he took to Twitter to make known his situation.
But when I received the COVID-19 test, I decided to share it on Twitter because as a medical doctor, I have noticed two things about this virus. The community spread of this virus is very real, and I see them in the consulting room every day. And there's a lot of stigma with this because when patients come to the consulting room, and as a doctor I inquire of them to do the test voluntarily, they refuse because they don't want to be stigmatized. So I chose to share my status to the world that COVID-19 is real. Community spread in Ghana is very, very real, and having COVID-19 is nothing to be ashamed of. And when I found out about my status as being COVID-19 positive, I know it is nothing to be ashamed of. So I informed my family, close relatives, and my co-tenants. And this morning, we've made an arrangement for all of them to get tested. So we are awaiting their results. A few of my siblings too are showing some mild symptoms of COVID-19. But until their test results comes in, we are keeping our hands to our chests. So I would say COVID-19 is real. Let's all stay safe. Let's all adhere to the protocols.
Reporting for Joynews, Kwesi Debra.
And a lot of you have been commenting on the COVID-19 updates that we brought you in the bulletin today. As you know, our case count has gone up. We have a lot more deaths, and the new cases, 274 new cases. The active cases standing at 8,585. The total, of course, 13,203. The recoveries also going up slightly, 4,548, and the deaths at 70. And Felix Nakote Meta says, he said, I love it when he said easing of restrictions was based on science and data. Yet, we see our leaders lack the concept of science and data analysis. Well, that's your opinion there. And Reels Eat says the only way for us is to go back to our boards and start from the scratch. We have lost it all to the virus. The zeal and the desire in fighting the virus from the beginning has reduced drastically. Lockdowns, both lockdown, wearing of nose masks, observing social distancing and other health protocols has all been neglected by the majority of citizens. Politicians are everywhere blaming the ruling government for their incompetence in dealing with the virus. God help us all. Dennis says, JM said it yesterday, Nanado is a born failure, disaster, chaotic president. That's your opinion there. Bani Wisdom says, do our leaders still stand by the assertion that we are making headway in the fight against COVID-19? If that is the case, as they sought for us to believe, then the number of infections should be coming down and death related to the pandemic come to a halt. I think the illusion that the number of deaths from the disease is low is very unfortunate, because the death of even an individual is one too many. Let me pick one final comment from Samuel Koku says, so can't our leaders see, so students will put on nose masks in class and in dormitories. How is the hotel or dormitory life going to be monitored? We want to kill our brothers and sisters, and this thing is serious, so Ghana, stand up. And those are some of your comments there on the issue of COVID-19 and our case count and how it is going there. So that's it for Joynews Interactive, but that's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. You find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com, and don't forget to join us tomorrow for a comprehensive coverage of the NPP primaries from 6 a.m. on radio, 7 on TV, all the way to the end, plus some analysis as well. Please stay with us. And just let me remind you that we also have Beyond the Lockdown on Sunday, and before that, at 2 p.m. on Sunday, Samson Ladia Yelini will bring you COVID and the Law. This is the station to be with for the weekend and even more. Stay with us.
Thank you.